Just a little background on KJ. He's been with IFCA since 2013 and has served as the president since 2021. He's very involved in the management of IFCA as well as the oversight of regulatory and legislative issues and development of programs that promote stewardship, safety, and nutrient management in the agri-chemical industry. So with that, KJ, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate everybody this morning or this afternoon. I'm gonna talk to the mic. I like to walk around. So again, KJ Johnson, president of Illinois Fertilizer Chemical Association. Again, been with them since 13. Before that was work on Capitol on legislative issues, and then still farm with my father and two brothers just north of here. So I live just 7 miles east here in St. Joe, farming northern Champaign, Mountain County. And so I appreciate Soybean Association inviting me to speak. So I am going to talk fertilizer, chemical supplies, fertilizer prices. What do I see? I'll talk about some sprinkler stuff I want you guys just to be aware of. I'll hopefully take questions, but if I run long, please interject anytime if you got a question. Just say that because we'll see if there's enough questions at the end. So let's just talk about IFCA for a second. Who are we? Kind of like the Illinois Soybean Association. We represent all the fertilizer manufacturers, chemical manufacturers, but our vast majority of our membership are the agri-chemicals. The growers, the nutrients, the Simplot, the brands of the world. Those are our members. But a big thing, we also represent the chemical, equipment manufacturers, DRK, AGCO. We actually put on a very large outdoor equipment show specifically for fertilizer chemical. Always the third week of August at the County Fairgrounds. We put that out, so we have those as members. And then the input translators or input transporters, we represent a lot of trucking companies that have an agri moment. We'll keep them updated on that. So let's start on chemical stuff. I think we'll talk chemical stuff. I think go through that pretty quickly, and then we'll go deep dive into fertilizer. So I got one question. I know Susan. Any other bag needed? Okay, I like that. We're going off record right now. Just talk about it. I can't. This is the label as we speak right now today at 2:09 p.m. We have in Illinois that came label that if you do not spray, if there's a forecast of high of 85 degrees, and that is a forecast, not the time spraying. Application of soybeans, no past June 20th. You got to look at field block, green crop registry, and then guys, I know these nature preserves. We're gonna have someone check out the nature preserves. A lot of the environmental groups are checking the nature preserves. That looks a lot like PRP trap at the end of the day. Check those. Now, why do I say we're off record? I have heard since January rumors going around that EPA is going to change the label on that can. Heard it. It has problems with that. Until I see something hard and back on it, I'm not going to say that. My phone started blowing up about 5 o'clock on Friday, and it hasn't stopped ringing since then on what could happen with that can. I will tell you off record, that date's going to change. And I will tell you it's going to be for the Midwest, and the only way will be part of it. The rumor that we were hearing, and I have confirmed, it's going to June 12th. It is going to go to June 12th. So I'll tell you this. I've got many calls. Hey, we need to call Jerry Costello, the director of ag, stop him from doing this. Jerry is a great guy. He has no say in this. This is coming from the federal USDA. Okay. If every state must follow the baseline of what USDA says out there. So if they go to the 12th, like there's 20 now, if they go something more, he has to follow them. I've had many people say, we got to call Jerry. Jerry's got to follow that later. This is coming out of the USDA. I will also say there's a 5-year label on that in. I think we're in year 3 of it. This will be the 4th year. The only way that can change is if EPA and one of the registrants agreed to make this change. And I will tell you, one of the manufacturers, all the manufacturers, but one that started those conversations, and that's where they're going. So it is coming, it's gonna come out, we don't know when, next week. I will tell you, some of the chemical companies have already told distributors that, but there's no official release of that yet. We have something already drawn up to send out, but I will not put that in writing until we see a press release from EPA. But it is coming. I just fully make you guys aware that that's coming. So I wasn't even gonna talk that camp up this talk, but I think you guys need to be aware that there's conversations going on right now with that. Okay, let's just talk about some frequency. From the middle of January till end of May, my focus has been truly every spring is on the spring session of Capitol. Guys, we are doing, I know we talk a lot about what's going on in Washington DC and stuff like that, but we have to focus more what's going on in the Capitol. There's going to be a bunch of pesticide legislation come back up. All these bills were introduced last year. They're all going to get reintroduced again this year. Mark my words, about the farm, about the state dinner, they're all coming back up. I was talking to Stu before the talk. LRB is one, if a legislature wants to introduce a bill, it goes to LRB and they put it out. Got a friend at LRB in the Capitol said there's 8,000 bills in the pot. There's a lot of bills that be drafted. I would tell you, the Pritzker administration, they're going to try and pass a lot of bills this year just because it's all what it is. He's going to run the president, and he wants to show that he is getting stuff done. So what do we have? That came a bill, straight out ban. This is coming from a lady up north that had a tree die that she faced, and she's blaming by cable. She's actually blaming on lawn care that came. But she wants an all ban. I'll show you some letters from there. Neonic. You guys know what neonic is? That is your seed treatment on our corn and soybeans. There's been talk about a ban. This legislation, I'm going to go to records already out there. It's been out there for 7 to 8 years, but it will be back coming up. We're going to have major conversations about that. Like I say, this is one of those bills that's just out there. Go up against the wall and see if it's there. I don't like to think this is probably going to move, but it's out there. It's the type of stuff we're going to deal with. With very possible, you guys actually know Dow has taken this product off the market or limited it out, but there's still legislation out there to ban it. EPA stewardship packaging. How many of you guys were like at my family or at my house during COVID? That you had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes from Amazon at your house every day. Some of the environmental groups said, well, where are all those boxes going to today? Got a question for that. So in New York, Maine, and Oregon, they passed some legislation like this that pretty much the producer of that product must come back and pick that product up. So there, Kevin Johnson agri-chemical delivers 10,000 2.5 gallon jugs at the beginning of the season. They got to come and pick up 10,000 2.5 gallon jugs at the end of the season. If you do not pick those up, there is going to be a penalty for that. So we are watching this as a whole, but this is not just agriculture. This is for everybody. Manufacturing. This is going to be a broad conversation. Why we had this conversation is we work with the Illinois Fertilizer Ag a lot about recycling, and that recycling goes to a certain place to get recycled. We just don't want to get lumped in with everybody else because of the plastic that we're dealing with. There is a special way to get rid of that stuff. So that's going to be up there. Okay, let's talk 2021, 20, what the year was on the question. Is that proposed or is that? I will say it's proposed, it's for sure proposed. There's been a plastic grocery bag ban since I've been around, it's never got moved. I think that's gonna be like it, this could be the slow drip of something moving. There's gonna be a lot of discussion. But I will tell you, Amazon did come to agreement in all those states. If they come and have agreement here, then they can say it's time to move this. I think it's just been for that. Okay, let's talk about 2021. If my chemical supply stuff was pretty hairy last year. You guys all know this. COVID didn't help anything, supply distribution. I didn't include it on this slide. But how many of the AI, the starter materials that we need to make some of our chemicals start in Asia, and when they shut down, it just backlogged everything. It backlogged everything. Weather, and a lot of these things don't seem major, but I would say, especially the fertilizer market, I'll take it. Once you have, if one dollar falls, okay, it's fine. But if multiple all start piling up, it becomes an issue very, very quickly. So we'll see with that. What do I see for 2023? I actually think we're in a lot better position on supplies. If you have both your I think was a lot better supply. Last year, this time, we were talking Roundup and Liberty being super short or being tight margins. How many of you guys looked at the price of Liberty and Roundup right now? What's it doing? It's going down. There's the supply is there, we're there. And I hate to say, if on Liberty, I'll be honest, I do think, and I'll talk about this on one of the fertilizers. There's a lot of Liberty that was still in the tank last year. There's going to be some different prices on Liberty out there, to be honest with you. But there is the supply is definitely in a lot better position. I mean, we had Chris Novak, the head of Crop Life America, last year at our commission. He was very worried about saying anything to rock the market because it's so tight. Now, let me say, if there's anything, I don't think it's tight, but if there's anything tighter, it's your group 15 products, your residuals, your duals, that type of stuff, I think they're tighter in those of anything, and the fungicides. I would tell you, we're making more fungicides than we ever have, but I think that our farm, 10% of our acres in the last 15 years have gotten fungicide, except 2012 and 2015, when I knew the crop was just before I even got it. It wasn't going to be so anyway. But we are having more guys doing double. How many of you guys have put double fungicides on? Any of you guys? Okay. I do think, again, I'm not saying they're short on fungicide, but I think there's more guys that are on every acre rather than active. So I think the fungicide will be a little bit tighter.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
backing up a second to the weather, your weather comment. The recent ice storm in Texas, is that gonna cause any problem? Because I know the freeze south what last year did or whatever.
Yep. Scott asked, is the recent ice storm down in Texas have any effects on supplies right now? Not that I heard of, but I think we need 10 days out here to make a serious guess at that. When we were in the ice storm a couple years ago, we didn't have full effect of what that would cause, and then 2 weeks later, it hit. So I feel okay about stuff, but give me 10 days out to see. But I have not had one conversation like, this is gonna mess us all up, type of stuff right now. So I actually feel 100 times better than I did a year ago on supply and stuff right now, going into it. Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff. We'll get one more. We got one more. Guys, you know, for the last few years, we talked dicamba. The numbers are down in the state of Illinois on dicamba. I would love to see 0, but it's not. But I can tell you the biggest issue that I am facing in talking to legislators is this. Freeze. Any of you guys live in the Nashville, Illinois area? Anybody? There is issues down there. I will tell you, we hear from that area as much as anywhere that there's an issue. As a retailer and as farmers, guys, you gotta know where this stuff is at. I know, hey, we never had trouble with spring industry. I do think if you can go to a fall burn down, I would look at it. If you're up against an ancient preserve, I would look at it. We had literally more tree complaints this year than we had dicamba complaints. You have to be aware. We're going to probably talk a lot about this down at the Capitol this year. Not just specifically dicamba, but tree damage. And then one of the ladies, we talked about that came 4363 last year, you know, they were asking for it to be totally banned. There's another letter that says we want, please send an email to Director Costello to write about 240 anti-Canada to only use it for golf course and patches. Guys, that's the drumbeat that's out there on that. You gotta know about this. As I say, we are gonna have to explain more and more on tree damage. Just know that's out there. I will tell you, I'm not gonna say I know exactly what it is, one product or the other product. But just be aware when you're spraying up against that stuff, especially those nature preserves. You need to be aware where that stuff is at. This, I hate to say it, is not gonna go well. Okay, let's talk fertilizer issues. I've had these slides a couple times, but it still warrants being up. Fertilizer markets is the global commodity, and all this stuff factors into the global markets. When we saw it in 2021, this is the same thing with the dominoes. It's not just one domino, but if a lot of dominoes fall at certain times, it's going to add up to a lot of stuff. I know Soybean Association always says half the soybeans in the state of Illinois go down the river for export. That's a lot, but 90% of fertilizer is a global traded commodity. So if we have issues, and this shows you just so much, the Russia-Ukraine deal, it threw a monkey wrench on a lot of stuff. Russia produces a lot of natural gas. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's a global factor. Hey, what time do I got? Go ahead. Need to run.
Yeah, if you want to finish up by like 2:45.
Perfect. Okay. I'll go through some of this stuff. Throw some of the stuff out here. This is just updated the 7th. So a couple of days ago, what's ammonia stuff doing? Ammonia is the red, the blue is phosphate, potash coming down. You're seeing the market, and I can tell you the reasons why it is going. Mostly natural gas prices, but also China started to export more phosphates. During that time period, they were 0 exports. And that was playing into it. Okay, let's go talk about global consumption. I got 3 kind of maps like this. So nitrogen, consumers. We all know China is a big part. We are 11% of the global market. How many of you guys have said India is number 2 more than the US? I wouldn't until we start doing research. Look at some of these others. Phosphate, China, absolutely. Number 2, again, India. Brazil is actually ahead of us on this one. Potash, same thing. We think we are number 1. You think we are the number 1 user of fertilizer. We are not. So again, this goes back to the global market. What is going on in other countries? So this bottom one is the best one. And I'm sorry this is up here. But the bottom one is all 3 combined. So China uses 22% of all fertilizer used in the world. We are at number 3, and we only use 11%. How many of you thought that we were higher than 11%? Everybody. Okay, let's go to the producers. I didn't know this. I knew Russia was huge on producer and ammonia, but China is the biggest one. China is the biggest one. Phosphate, China is the big one. Morocco, huge. We know about the 4 cases of Morocco. Potash is no surprise. Canada is the a third of the world market. If you ever get a chance, we got to go be able to our board to do one of the potash mines in Canada. It's quite the sight. You go down more than a mile into the ground, how they mine potash is something unbelievable. You should see it. Urea. We do a little urea, but I will tell you guys, China uses pretty much a third of the world's market. When you're basing nitrogen prices, the global leader is urea. You need to watch what urea does. You can kind of follow what the other stuff that's going to do on there. Okay, Importers. So we import a little more than 10% of our ammonia. China does too, Morocco. Phosphates. We actually produce quite a bit of phosphates, but we still import some. Potash, we import a lot. I mean, it's a lot coming from Canada. We're so lucky. We have Canada as a good trading partner for a lot of the potash. The one monkey wrench I thought could happen and all that stuff at the end of the day was when this whole rail strike happened. I was very worried about that. I thought we were in a pretty good stretch on potash, but then that got converted because that's all great. Urea, yeah, we don't do much urea. Some of the southern states do, but we import a lot of it. Okay, here's goes back to your domino stuff that you brought up. The Texas green and then Hurricane Ida. We're talking about nitrogen production. When that all hit, it came to a screeching halt. A quarter of nitrogen production stopped. And it could never get rebounded back up. Going back to war, that all hit. Ida was a hurricane at that time. Nobody thought it was going to get bad, and then it hit, and it was bad. And so again, dominoes fall, nobody can get ahead of the schedule. This is a good one. The red line is nitrogen production, or sorry, natural gas prices. The blue line is how many companies our plants are online. What we saw during the Europe stuff, and I got a slide on that too, but when the natural gas prices went up higher, it really started to put a pinch on producers. A lot of the producers in Europe shut off. And we're going to show that here in a little bit. But same in the US, I mean, they were shut down also. And you guys got to remember, we were talking high natural gas prices for us. And, you know, right now, I think I got a slide, it's like $3. Well, we were about $8, $9 a cubic foot. You know what they're paying in Europe? 10 times that. 10 times that. So when you had a company like CF or another guy that pulled natural gas contract, they were making more money shipping it overseas for natural gas, and then they're touching it as producing it, selling the natural gas contract overseas for more than they could produce something, make more money. I don't blame them. And it wasn't just other, but if you had a contract, you could sell it for that, do it in the same thing. So that's what had happened on some of those marketing. So the next one. Russian sanctions, this all will be happening with Ukraine, some of the sanctions going on. Guys, you don't realize how much natural gas comes out of Russia. Germany, when all this Ukraine stuff happened, gets all their natural gas from Russia. And Europe gets it, and they started cutting down the pipeline. They never shut it off. I mean, Putin's very smart. He never just shuts it off. He just turns it to a trickle. And it drove up all the prices that were there. And they come out, they look better. Potash, same deal. They were producing, but they kind of just slowed stuff down to a trickle. And they thought we were getting ahead on price wise.
What happens with the pipeline, natural gas from Mediterranean?
Very asked the question, where does the pipeline go into the Mediterranean?
Does that cut off the Russian stuff?
No, Russia's just, I mean, that pipeline's huge. As much as Europe wants to go someplace else and get it, no way to produce what Russia produces on natural gas. That's why you have all the gardens and all that stuff in Russia. There's just that much supply in Russia on that. You may know about Belarus at all. Belarus is run by a dictator. And he actually, there was a reporter that didn't like everything that the president Prime Minister Belarus is doing. For some not so nice stories about how the government was running, stuff like that. The reporter got married, was going on a honeymoon. Belarus took their military and forced that plane down and took even the capture because they didn't like what he was saying. So everybody has put sanctions against Belarus. Belarus is a huge exporter of potash, huge. A lot of cheap potash in Belarus, but everybody, U.S. and everybody has put sanctions around Belarus, and they can't get into the potash out of that country. And it's been kind of like a NATO joint summit deal that we are not trading with those types of people. Now, he is getting something out through Russia, but Belarus, one of their major economic drivers is potash. So many, the U.S. and other governments have just said, we're gonna shut it all off, we're gonna cut the money to it. Is that very fair? I'll let you guys decide. I'm just telling you guys what the play is here on this one. Other phosphates. This is the big thing nobody ever talked about in the industry. During 2021 and part of 22, China was exporting 0 phosphates. 0. They are a third of the world's exporters on phosphates. They took it out as we're going to protect our own government. We are keeping it here at home. We are not going to let it out. I will tell you, they're probably back up to, it says 32% there. I would probably say they're about 15%. They're probably opened up about 15% of their market back up, but it is not a bad trend. I think they're going to see what happens with the market, what drives it, and if they can stay where they're at, they'll stay, or they'll keep it at home and we'll do it at a cheap price at home for our own farmers. So we all talk about natural gas prices the whole time, and all this stuff was going on, but this was another one was driving the dry market, and nobody was talking about was China. Put a slide up here on this one. This is just change in demand of what's going on over the years. I'm sorry, this goes back a few years. This is an increase or decrease of each year of fertilizer demand. We had a high in 2021, prices kept back and slipped and come back up. We're real interested to see where that goes this year. And we'll talk about buying acres and stuff like that. Where does that go to? I can see it going down just because with the price of corn right now, I mean, it was really good last year. It has backed off. Where do we see the price of grain? I'll tell you more what's going to go on with that. Look ahead. And so we're just going back into what we're talking about already. What is weather going to do? What is the price going to do? Tell me what the grain market's going to do, and I'll tell you what the world demand is. We might not have much change here in the States, but what does that do for South America? Stuff like that, and that will drive the prices of everything. This is a pretty good factor we have shown. Again, which will borrow up. This is back in 08, 9, and 10. So same 3 things, 3 years. Every year, the super high comes in. We had a good run of fertilizer. Then next year, nitrogen down 8%, phosphate down 20%. And this, when I say percentage, that means demand. Demand. It has cut it back all the needs. Potash 30. So with the prices and higher prices last year, what happens on these? And again, these are global numbers, not just United States numbers. What happens? Does that back off? I think it's a back off of what it is that these kind of same trend numbers. I think we are going to see a back off, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the fertilizer prices kind of soften a little bit. If there's any chart you see, this is the best one you got to follow on nitrogen. And we keep this keep track. So this is United States. The high last fall, $9 for natural gas. This was back early summer. We had $1,500, $600 ammonia prices. It has backed off. That's a good thing. Where does the nitrogen fall with that? My personal opinion, I think you've already started to see urea back off on price. You're seeing it in ammonia. Some might disagree with me in the room. I think UAN, in the fertilizer industry, UAN is still the premier high-end product. Okay, there's one that's not going to follow as quickly, it's UAN. The other thing with UAN, and probably Greg can attest to this, being retail, guys are buying UAN in August and September of the year before. So a lot of contracts are retail buying in UAN is done at our Maggie show, Southwest Fertilizer Conference, in the first week of September. So there is retailers that might have half their UAN bought at that time because they were taking supply. Now, I think there's gonna be some, UAN is all about average at the end of the day on price. I think there's gonna be some people that spring say, why is UAN following ammonia is quick? I'm just telling you, some of that is already bought and paid for last September. Just know where ammonia is more spot driven, manufacturers that UAN is long tail. So I don't think you will see as fast as a drop in UAN as you will the other ones. But just keep an eye, if you want to see what the nitrogen price are doing, follow this graph, follow what natural gas are doing, and pretty much got it. I'm gonna go through some other detailed stuff, what's going on. Again, nitrogen gas prices will later with lower margins. I mean, some of the manufacturers have some really good margins, but no questions about that. Does exports or does government support some of the nitrogen production more in Europe? I think they are. There's some conversations about that. We already talked about China exporting more, especially on the potash market. I think they opened up a little bit more, but I don't think they just opened the floodgates. Same thing goes for Belarus. We are going to talk about that. Just any of those sanctions left on that side. What's the price of corn? I mean, guys are you going to start dumping fertilizer back onto you? You're going to say, I've built it the last 5 years. I'm going to cut back a little bit. I'm just where that happens. Russia exports of ammonia, that's good. I'll tell you, here's one that I'm watching more. Low emission ammonia. Anybody hear about green ammonia, low emission ammonia? There's a lot of talk out in DC. I'm actually going to DC next week about that one. There's a lot of talk about small batches of ammonia. I don't know if it's real, but there's a whole lot of talk about it. And I would tell you the industry, not as much as retail, but the manufacturing industry is very worried about interstate. Ammonia plant puts off a lot of CO2. And how does that look long term? Is there any caps on CO2 emissions to manufacturing? Environmental stuff, again, same thing. What does that play? I got more. I mean, I can put all kinds of stuff what's going on. I don't go point. Here's the thing I thought was interesting. BK Morris come and talk to us. He's a fertilizer expert. He did this graph up there, and I kind of like it. This is what the estimates guessed on production this coming year in corn and soybean. He's actually thinks they're going to be low. He thinks there's going to be more beans than there's corn, which is the main of what the ratio is on that. But where does that come out? I think we're going to have to try and figure out what's going to go on by in acres and go from there. Potash. Again, I think they're softening in potash. At the end of the day, I think they're softening everything, but it just, where is this kind of going from there? If there's anything, global demand means reasonable wheat across downstream markets. That's the end. You're going to see that in the cases here. That same deal. I think we hit the high last year. I think there's going to be kind of some leveling off and more tendency. I'm kind of going too quickly. We got only a few minutes. Only go to nitrogen. Okay. Somebody says, why you urea is the global leader in nitrogen. What do we see? What do we see from here? There's weakness in that. Well, I think there's gonna be some pressure to go down on that. Again, I think ammonia will somewhat follow that, UAN coming up the back. Softening, but not just falling out of bed. Here's a slide I did want to show you guys. At the height of everything right now, half the production in Europe shut off. Half of the nitrogen production in Europe just shut off. There's still 20% that's still not running. This is why you're going to still probably hear that companies are exporting to Europe. Why are they doing that? There's a margin there to sell. Their production is not all the way back out. I don't know when it will come back up. I don't know if that's when Russia leaves Ukraine or Ukraine wins the war. I don't know. But this is still going on in Europe. These are all the plants that produce, and again, at one time, half of those were completely shuttered. And it's mostly just because natural gas is at $80–90 a cubic foot. I mean, it's just there's no way you were penciling that out. At one time, I hated to even admit this, but $1,500 ammonia is the cheapest ammonia in the world at that time. Now, we don't think anything's cheap at $1,500 a ton of ammonia, but in other places in the world, that was a steal. Just so you know on this. Exports, again, there's still going to be exports to UAN at the end of the day. It's going to get better. Not as much exports going to go because production going to come up, but there's definitely going to be exports. I'm leaving 2 minutes for the question. So I know I agree with a lot in that time. But I think if I leave you guys anything on the fertilizer markets, I think there's some softening. We just watch. Tell me what happens with Ukraine, and I'll tell you where probably the markets are going. If you're looking, you're going to supply that, we're in a lot better position than we were a year ago. Springfield's going to be tough, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. So when your association, soybeans, farm bureau, call an action on something, we're going to need help. What I tell people, and Jerry Costello made this comment to the Illinois Ag Grounds table last week. 66% of the state of Illinois on a clear day is going to see your. Let me say that again. 66% of the state of Illinois can see your salary. 5-6 counties, Cook County and 5 Colorado counties really have the vast majority. I will tell you, if you look at the state of Illinois elections, it looks like the United States, all down the state's red. And then this big blue area up north. I will tell you what I struggle with is when I first started with it, Jerry made that comment on private conversation. And he goes, he started it as a legislator in 2011. Back then, there were 64 Democrats in the House and 35 Senate Democrats. Now this year it's 78. They picked up 14 seats in 10 years and 5 seats, and there's 40 in the Senate. I will tell you guys, those Democrats are more progressive. We used to work with a lot of union Democrats. Those guys are gone. That block up there has become a whole lot more progressive.
Marxist.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't make that. We are going to have to figure out how we deal with that, because a lot of the union Democrats, if I didn't deal with the unions, they're ag friendly. These guys are gone. I mean, it's really putting, how do we go up there and talk how important agriculture is? I mean, in the state of Illinois, we have a lot of, I mean, I would be honest, 90% of my time is on pesticide issues down at the state cabinet. I don't have very many fertilizer issues. It is pesticide. On stuff. So we just have to be vigilant, work through some of the stuff going into the future. And we'll go from there. So, question.
Anything new on atrazine from your standpoint?
No, I think that, so Scott had a question on atrazine. We did a comment on that. The EPA rule with atrazine would affect 100% of the acres in the state of Illinois. We wrote comments. I think it's gonna be a year and a half, 2 years before something really comes out on atrazine. I'm worried about it. Other thing you guys need to be worried about, same thing with atrazine. Endangered Species Act. Endangered Species Act. Everything right now is ran through FIPA. And that's kind of like the Illinois pest, I mean, it's like the Pesticide Act in Illinois. That's how everything is run nationally. There's tolerances with FIPA. Endangered Species Act, there's zero tolerances. Absolutely zero. We are seeing environmental groups use, if you see any court cases now, they're not saying FIPA, they're saying Endangered Species Act. Guys, read up on Endangered Species Act. Go ask your Western friends how much they love in Endangered Species Act. It's a different animal. We have to get over it. Now I'm gonna say maybe another comment. US EPA. Even though I agree, disagree with US EPA, our organization disagrees with US EPA. I will say this, we did support a thing called CREEP. That is the regulation for a chemical company to get a new product to market. Us and the NGOs with CropLife America supported increased funding to EPA for staff because they are just, there's erosion. Now people say, why would you guys do something like this? But I will tell you this, to get a new product to market was taken, you know, Stewardship was always 6-7 years. That's becoming 10 to 11. And it's costing about $146 million to get a new product to market. We need those products to come to market on a time limit or a time frame that we know. So again, in some of the stuff, we do support extra funding to get it. And there is a fee that we pay to get those products to market. So to get some of that stuff out and going at the end of the day. But again, Endangered Species Act. If there's one thing you gotta look 5-7 years down the road that makes me cringe, that is it. Other questions? I'll come back over you, Megan.
All right, let's give KJ a round of applause.